This is John Johnston from Corn Nation. I'm here to talk to you today about Big Ten baseball, about Nebraska's fans' attitude toward Big Ten baseball, the Big Ten's attitude toward Big Ten baseball, and Big Ten baseball overall. I hope you're all doing well. Here we go. First of all, let's go back to when Nebraska joined the Big Ten Conference. If you were a Nebraska baseball fan then, probably about 90% of you had the attitude that Nebraska was going to take over the Big Ten Conference because we were coming out of the Big 12, which is a pretty solid baseball conference. We had the beautiful rivalry with Texas and Soggy Burrito going. And then we move into the Big Ten, and of course they suck. I think at that point they hadn't put a baseball team into the College World Series since 1982. So the whole attitude toward the Big Ten was that it was a terrible baseball conference and Nebraska wouldn't have any problems competing in it and winning the conference every single season. I think we all expected that we were going to destroy everybody, and that didn't happen. And I know that there's a lot of people that probably blame Darin Erstad for that. And that could be debatable. That is something you could have a discussion about and have a valid discussion, I think. But I think also that there's a lot of stuff that happened in the Big Ten when Nebraska joined, or between the time that Nebraska joined and now, and that is pretty much everybody in the Big Ten Conference improved. I mean, Minnesota built basically a brand new baseball stadium. John Anderson's still there. He's an excellent coach. I've never understood why he stayed at Minnesota and in the Big Ten. Indiana made the College World Series because it's really, I've shot Big Ten baseball for a number of years, with a camera. But being next to Kyle Schwarber, like 5 feet away from him, there was a big reason why Indiana made the College World Series. I mean, that guy was like honest to God, the closest to a Greek god of any athlete that I can remember. Just walking around. Anyway, Michigan, the last time we had a College World Series, they were the runner-up. So there's been a lot of improvements throughout the Big Ten in baseball. Coaches, they really were allowed to kind of just linger around being baseball coaches. They've largely been replaced. You've got Rick Heller at Iowa, a fairly decent coach and an upgrade over what they used to have. And now we have Will Bolt at Nebraska, who's kind of a rookie. I mean, he got 15 games in, I think it was, last season. But it's kind of a rookie year again, and we don't really know what the year's going to look like. But I think Nebraska fans' attitude toward their baseball fan is they expect a lot more than baseball's ever going to be able to deliver. I get the idea that some baseball fans, and Nebraska baseball fans, think that we should be making the College World Series every year just because it's in Omaha. That's a little bit of a stretch, especially now that we're in the Big Ten, and it's going to be harder for Will Bolt to recruit, although I think he might do better than Darin did. Well, I guess we'll wait and see. But you had the complaints in the past few years from those kids out of Lincoln, I think it was, going to Texas A&M. You have one thing in the Big Ten that you don't have at Texas A&M, and that's snow. I was at Minnesota, and I think a couple years ago when I was waiting around with the radio crew from Nebraska, Greg Sharp, and we were looking at the AccuWeather thing to see if it would be warm enough for them to play. And I actually have photos of our team playing in snow with snow flurries coming down around it. That's something you're not going to get at Texas A&M, which is also in the SEC, the premier baseball conference. So you can kind of forgive Darin Erstad, I hope, for not being able to recruit those kids. Seriously, if you were a high school senior and you were going to go into the Big Ten in baseball or the SEC in baseball, and is that a choice? Honestly? Because the Big Ten doesn't give a shit about baseball. They really don't. And that's the next segment we'll go into. All right? There's a number of reasons why I have this attitude, or why the reason that I think the Big Ten doesn't give a single shit about baseball. First of all, let's look at this year. From what we understand about the season we're about to have, hopefully, it's going to be conference only. There will be no midweek games. The season will be shortened in terms of the number of games. They used to play 56. I think it's down to 40 or 44 now. They're going to play 4 games on a weekend and no midweek games. What the fuck is up with that? Here's the thing. The Big Ten let their basketball teams go around the nation playing non-conference games. So why won't they let their baseball teams go around the nation playing non-conference games? It's pretty easy to figure out the exact reason why, and that's because there's a giant NCAA tournament for basketball in which the Big Ten is one of the premier conferences, and they're going to make shit tons of money off of it. So when you look at the Big Ten and they issue these statements about student athlete safety, it's bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. I can't emphasize the word bullshit enough. It is about the money. And it's really, it astonishes me that people who live in lofty places, in their heads maybe, and they make statements like that, like this is about player athlete or student athlete safety. And it's just, if you say that enough times, does it become true? I guess, you know. The only reason we're playing non-conference games in basketball and not baseball is because there's money at stake, which is really kind of a shame. Because if you think about it, I want you to think about this. What's the number 3 sport in the nation when it comes to college sports? Right? Number 1 is pretty solid. That's college football. It's not even close. There's not even an argument about that. Number 2 is men's basketball. Really not even close there either. You know, you could have people who are bigger basketball fans than football fans. Like if you're, I don't know, Michigan State person, Purdue, you know, Big Ten teams. Some of those fans are bigger basketball fans than they are football fans. But what's number 3? You could argue that it's women's basketball. You could argue that in the state of Nebraska it's volleyball. More than that's number 2, but in the Big Ten is very good at volleyball, and that sport is conference only, which is kind of a damn shame because we won't see Nebraska playing Stanford or Texas or any of those powerhouse teams that are really good games. But they care about their volleyball teams. But what's number 3? Honestly, what is the number 3 sport? Is it college baseball with all the NCAA regionals and super regionals and the College World Series? You could argue easily that it is. I mean, look at the SEC. Look at LSU baseball and all the fans they get to that thing. It's insane. And you know how crazy the College World Series is every year for fans of college baseball. Is baseball the number 3 sport? Not in the Big Ten. It's like number 38 behind basket weaving and applied math. Debate is probably a bigger sport than the Big Ten than baseball, and I'll point this out in other ways. Wisconsin doesn't have a baseball team. They cut their baseball program to pay their football coach. Now go back to the days when we were in the Big 12 and imagine that one of the Big 12 schools actually cut their baseball program. There'd have to be like some kind of apocalyptic, pandemic, economy-crushing environment for that to happen. And even then, you'd kind of go, well, they probably wouldn't do it even then. But Wisconsin did it, and they didn't even do it during a pandemic. They just did it to pay their football coach. That's how kind of the attitude that the Big Ten has toward baseball. Maybe it's changed slightly. I don't think it's changed a lot. You know, the sad thing about this is the Big Ten had, I think, kind of established some momentum. Michigan was the runner-up in the College World Series the last time it was played. That's kind of a big feather in the cap of the Big Ten when you think, but now we're going to have a conference-only schedule. The Big Ten teams usually spend the first part of the season going around playing non-conference teams that are tough to increase their RPIs, which gets them into the NCAA tournament. That's not going to happen this year. Pretty much looks like the entire rest of the nation is playing non-conference games, but not the Big Ten. Why? Because they don't give a fuck. There is no RPI this season. Will Bolt, during a Zoom conference presser, mentioned that he'd like to see 3 to 4 Big Ten teams get into the NCAA tournament based upon recent performance. Well, good luck with that, because during college football season, Dabo made a big deal about the Big Ten getting into the college football playoff without playing enough games, when really Dabo was just worried about getting his ass kicked. For good reason, I guess. Day. Poor Dabo. It's very frustrating to watch this happen, especially if you're a college baseball fan. I hope that they allow fans at some of these games, because it's been a long time since we've been able to attend a sporting event. And it's, I love going to games. I love being able to shoot them with a camera. I have to clarify that. I've heard from other people that go, can't come up with another term given all the political impact of saying the word shoot. I've said that to other photographers and they get very, very irritated with me. Can't we come up with another term? Yeah, pooping. We pooping the games. I don't know. No, we can't. That's been our vernacular for God knows how many years. You come up with other terms for shit you do. Okay, this is John, Corn Nation, signing off. Please subscribe to this channel and this podcast and this website, and come back and visit us often for more great content, some of it from me, the jaded old man of Corn Nation. Thank you for listening. John Johnston signing out. Bye.